Massed lines of infantry as far as the eye can see. Black powder weapons firing in sync. And more moustaches than a penny farthing cycling club riding through a street lined with prohibitively expensive coffee shops.
So, you don't like the old-time bikes, huh?
The Holy Sigmar Empire of Man. This is the major human faction in Warhammer the Old World. In the lore, and I'm massively oversimplifying here, they trace back nearly 2,500 years before the current setting, when men lived in mud huts and wielded simple club weapons. The region suddenly came under attack from newly ambitious orc and goblin tribes, which razed the land, hammering the dwarfs of the World's Edge Mountain particularly hard. They were still reeling from their recent war with the elves, the War of the Beard. As the dwarfs reeled from their never-ceasing greenskins, the tribes of men that had migrated from the north of the world were also struck, and seeing great potential in each other, the dwarfs and men banded together to fight off the invading greenskins.
You son of a bitch!
One human warrior, whose birth was heralded by a twin-tailed comet in the sky, united the human tribes of the Old World, and after leading the tribes of men and dwarfs to victory at the Battle of Blackfire Pass, was crowned Emperor. This was Sigmar Heldenhammer, founder of the Empire, wielder of Galmaraz, the Warhammer, and he had ushered in a new golden age for the Empire, an age of Sigmar, if you will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This Empire of Man was sorted into numerous provinces, with each of the major tribes' leaders becoming a count of their respected province. And Sigmar himself led the empire from his newly renamed capital of Altdorf in Reichland. After Sigmar passed, the system of crowning a new emperor passed into a totally not complex system of elector counts, where all of the counts of the empire would vote to elect a new emperor. This was a completely revelatory, infallible system that would absolutely not cause political instability, corruption, and the occasional centuries-long civil war. In the time of the Old World, there has been no emperor since the death of Emperor Mandred von Zelt, the Skaven Slayer, ironically slayed by a Skaven assassin. The elector counts failed to elect a new emperor, and a series of civil wars occurred. And now we are in the time known as the Anarchy, sometimes called the Dark Ages, as well as the Wars of the Many Emperors. So, it's a spiffing time to be a resident of the Empire of Man. In this guide, we'll look at all the units you can field from the Grand Army of the Empire. This is all in the Forces of Fantasy book. There is also an arcane journal available for the Empire of Man, which gives you 2 different ways of fielding your army, as well as special characters, units, and upgrades. But if you're new, I definitely get to grips with the basics of the army, which is what we're going to cover today. Once we've gone through all the units, and I've shown you all the models and where to get them, I'll show you a simple 1,000 point army list that you can use to get to grips with the rules. Now, let's start as always by looking at your special... Wait, you guys don't have any special rules? Well, the armies of the Empire are sort of supposed to be like the base faction of the game. So whilst they have special weapon upgrades and such, they have no law of magic, for example, unique to the Empire, nor any special rules. That being said, they do gain access to 3 unique weapons. First is the grenade-launching blunderbuss, a multi-wound damaging gun. Second is the Hockland long rifle, tailor-made with telescopes, and it allows the wielder to snipe characters and champions from enemy units at long range. Finally, and my absolute favorite, the pigeon bomb. This is a wonderful ranged attack, allowing you to send a pigeon flying at your opponent, with as much chance of success as failure. and hurting you as it does hitting your opponents. Now, they do make frequent use of a couple of universal special rules. Lots of your infantry will make use of the regimental unit and detachment rules. This basically allows you to deploy lots of troops rapidly on the board. First, you select which unit is going to be your regimental unit. You then get to take up to 2 detachment units alongside it. These basically act like little supporting units that help the bigger regiments. These detachments can't exceed half the unit strength of the regimental unit. When you deploy the regiment, you also get to deploy the 2 supporting detachments at the same time, allowing you to take lots of smaller units and deploying them rapidly. Okay, so is that it? You get to deploy units fast? Not quite. You'll want to keep the detachments within 3 inches of the regiment, as the regiment will confer its leadership to the detachments as long as they remain within 3 inches of them. If the regimental unit has the stubborn, frenzy, hatred, or immune to psychology rules, again, as long as the detachment stays within 3 inches, they get those rules too. Finally, if the regiment is ever charged, the detachments can make a supporting fire or supporting charge reaction against the charger. All very fun, and this will make you feel like you're playing a well-oiled machine on the battlefield. Oh, and some units can take both keywords. You'll just need to declare what unit is doing what. Might be best to note these on your army list before you send it to your opponent if that's something you're planning on doing. Okay, with the Grand Army, you have a rather huge list of characters to choose from. So your commanders of the Empire are your most versatile characters. But being jacks of all trades, they also kind of have the least going on with them, like special rules wise as well. They literally have just 2 special rules. The base rallying cry, as well as their special hold the line, allowing them and any unit they have joined to automatically pass any panic test. The base captains are going to be great to pop in a big brick of state troops that are likely to face any shooting attacks. If you pop one in the regimental unit, they'll share their leadership across the detachments as well. Your Empire wizards are literally very vanilla wizards. They can access any of the spell laws except for war magic from the base book and have magic attacks and magic resistance 1. That is kind of it. Your masters of the knightly orders come automatically on a mount, but you'll need to select either the Barded Warhorse, Pegasus, or Demigryph to ride. We'll cover all of those in a hot minute. They also have the best weapon skill in your army, with the Grandmaster being weapon skill 6. They also have the Master of Battle rule, giving any Empire Knight, Inner Circle Knight, or Demigryph Knight unit they join the immune to psychology rule as well. Now, if you have a burning desire to punish witches, mutants, demons, and the undead,
I shine the light of Sigmar upon you!
are Witch Hunters a really fun little combat character that you can play. They inherently have the immune to psychology rule, because they've seen some shit, and they have the killing blow rule built in. They also gain the suffer not ability. Each Witch Hunter must choose a certain type of thing they hunt: the witch, the revenant, the mutant, or the demon. Depending on which one they choose, they get the hatred enemy wizards, undead, warriors and beasts of chaos, or demon models respectively, as well as a few extra bonuses. It's all very fun and thematic. You have your 2 different warrior priests, those of Sigmar and those of Ulrich. Both sets have 3 different prayers that they can attempt to invoke by passing a leadership test in their command phase. Those of Sigmar can pray for the Hammer of Sigmar, giving a single friendly unit within command range reroll 1s to hit and wound. The Shield of Faith gives a 5+ ward save in the shooting phase, and the Soulfire ability gives an enemy unit in command range D6 Strength 3 Flaming Magical AP -2 hits. Ouch! Priests of Ulrich can invoke the spirit of the god of war, winter, and wolves with the Battle Howl prayer. giving a single friendly unit within command range a D3-inch modifier to their charge roll. The Winter's Chill ability makes any combat hits against the priest, its mount, or a unit it's joined reroll any hit rolls of a natural 6. The Wrath of Winter ability gives the priest and its unit the multiple 2 wounds ability. Real painful for your opponent. Finally, Empire engineers have learnt from their dwarven allies and are considered to be behind full cover if they're ever within 3 inches of a war machine. And the war machine can, once per turn, use the engineer's ballistic skill or reroll a single artillery die. Okay, so that's all the characters, and all of them, bar engineers, can ride mounts. Now, I've already mentioned the chapter masters who must ride either a barded warhorse, a pegasus, or a demigryph, but other units can ride stuff. So the warrior priests can ride a regular or barded warhorse. Empire wizards, commanders, and witch hunters can ride Empire warhorses and pegasi, whilst just the commanders can also ride barded warhorses, demigryphs, and griffins, and the wizard lords and generals of the Empire can ride Imperial griffins. There's also the lectors of Sigmar who can ride war altars. Now, that's a lot of different mounts. What do they all do? Empire and barded warhorses are what they sound. Their Empire horses are slightly faster but have no barding, but they are fast cavalry, whereas the barded horses are a pip slower but can countercharge and have the fast charge rule. Oh, and they both have swift stride because, of course. Pegasus can give the rider +1 wound, they can fly 10 inches, and have the counter and first charge rules. Demigryphs are real beasts. They have strength 5, AP -2 claws, and cause fear and have barding, as well as the counter and first charge rules. Now, griffins and imperial griffins are giant beasts that give their riders multiple extra wounds and increase their toughness. Now, they both cause terror, can fly 9 inches, and both deal stomp attacks. They have swift stride, and the Imperial Griffins can gain an extra head, giving them an extra attack. Finally, the War Altars of Sigmar are basically big old moving lecterns for the priests to give combat sermons from. They have a big old anti-wizard debuff, giving any wizard, friend or foe, -2 to their command rolls. They buff the warrior priest riding its command range up to 12 inches, and any unit within 6 inches automatically passes any fear test and allows them to re-roll panic tests. So that's all the characters and the mounts they have access to. What about their minis? Right, you have plenty of access to character models in the Empire range. And good news, most of them are plastic. The Engineer has a fabulous kit with the Hockland long rifle available. The commanders of the Empire have easy access to foot, battle standard bearer, and horse and Imperial Griffin options. Demigryphs are available from the Demigryph Knight kit, but you'll have to pop over to the Bretonnians for Pegasus, I'm afraid. The War Altar is readily available for all your mounted priesting needs, but unfortunately you'll need to work in resin for the Empire Wizards. However, I think the Cities of Sigmar range battle mages are in fact an old Empire set of models that can work as wizards, but it's a bit more difficult to find a stand-in for your warrior priests in plastic, unfortunately. Although this lone guy is iconic.
And for plastic witch hunters, the Cities of Sigmar range comes to the rescue again with the Von Denst and Saviors of Cinderfall kits.
Right, onto your core. You can basically field blocks of infantry in the Empire State Troop, State Missile Troop, Free Company Militia, and Empire Archer kits, as well as having access to cavalry with the Empire Knights. And per 1,000 points, you can upgrade one of the state troops to be veteran state troops. All bar the Free Company Militia and the Empire Archers can take a command group. Your state troops are just your basic infantry units. They come as very basic humans with light armor and hand weapons, but they can upgrade to take either spears or halberds as well as shields too. And as of the summer 2025 errata, otherwise known as the 1.5 edition, they have the Horde keyword, giving them 1 extra point of combat resolution if they max out their rank bonus. Veteran state troops come with the Veteran keyword and can be drilled and take a magic standard instead of just a regular one for the command group. Either can be a regiment or a detachment. State missile troops are your shooting variation. They come with crossbows base, but you can upgrade to take handguns, and the sergeant can take a Hockland long rifle as well. Free Company militia are basically untrained men of the Empire that, either willingly or not, have been banded together to form a big old infantry brick. They have 2 weapons, so gain an extra attack in combat, and come with throwing weapons too, so we'll be able to make a nifty stand and shoot reaction. I guess it would be a stand and throw reaction. They come in open order instead of close order like everyone else, and have the warband and levy rules too. Empire archers are classic human archers. They can move through cover, take a skirmisher formation, and can make a vanguard move too. They can also upgrade to be scouts and can take the fire and flee rule for points too. Finally, Empire Knights are a really iconic unit. They're a heavy cavalry brick that have the countercharge, first charge, and swift stride rules, and can be drilled or stubborn.
Countercharge allows a cavalry unit to make a short charge if it's being charged by another cavalry unit or chariot, so it can gain an initiative bonus before the combat takes place. A unit that has the first charge rule disrupts an enemy unit, meaning that they won't gain any rank bonus as long as it's the first charge that the unit with the first charge has made. Both are incredibly powerful abilities on a base core unit.
All of these units are available as plastic kits. Okay, that's all your core. Let's take a look at the special units you have available. Now you can take any number of Empire Greatswords, Pistoliers, Outriders, and Demigryph Knights, up to 3 war machines per 1,000 points between the Empire Great Cannon and Mortar, as well as up to 1 unit per 1,000 points of Inner Circle Knights. Let's take a look at each of these in turn. Your Greatswords are state troop veterans, given gleaming plate armor and carrying giant 2-handed weapons, and they can be drilled or veterans too. You'll want to get a charge off on these guys, otherwise they'll suffer from the strike's last effect of their great weapons. Pistoliers are the sons and daughters of Empire nobles that want to become Inner Circle Knights. These light cavalry riders carry braces of pistols and excel at harassing enemy flanks. They're fast cavalry, so if you decide to keep them in open order formation, they can make a quick turn even if they've marched. You may not want to though, given they can quick shot with their brace of pistols. Given their younger, eager nature, they do have the impetuous rule, meaning that they will have to declare a charge if possible, unless they can pass a leadership test during the declare charges step, which might be a bit tough given their abysmally low leadership. Outriders are their more experienced colleagues. They have a better starting ballistic skill and have repeater handguns instead of the brace of pistols, although they can swap them in for free. Given their experience, they trade the impetuous rule for the vanguard rule, being able to move for free at the start of the game. They won't be able to charge if they do that though. They do cost a bit more in points too. Demigryph Knights are the next step for those Empire Knights looking to join the Inner Circle. Before they can be inducted into the Inner Circle, Knights must try and tame one of these wingless griffins, a very tall and deadly task. If they can be tamed, they get to ride one of these fighting beasts, ideally suited to the arena of war that is the Old World. They have 3 Strength 5 AP-2 attacks and have torn apart many of my wood elves on the battlefield. Their 3 wounds ain't anything to sniff at either. They can come in units of up to 12, and the riders must take either a lance or a halberd into battle. Lastly, for the cavalry, You can take 1 unit of Inner Circle Knights per 1,000 points of your army. These are the elite of the elite of the Empire, having passed numerous feats of arms to reach the Inner Circle. This is reflected in their improved stat line over the Empire's Knights, and have gained the Drilled and Veteran keyword as standard alongside the Inner Circle, which allows them to reroll hit rolls of 1 in any combat. They are spenny points-wise though, so save them to charge into fights where they can act as final hammer blows. Lastly, you can access Empire Great Cannons and Mortars. Great Cannons fire devastating strength 10, AP -3 shots, and are often seen on the tops of hills, firing into lines of opposing troops. These things are generally pretty terrifying and are a mainstay in many Empire armies. Mortars trade strength for mass hits, shooting larger 5-inch blast templates and dealing strength to hit to a larger array of casualties. It uses the stone thrower rules, so can be a little bit unpredictable. If you roll a misfire, you roll on the black powder misfire table. Okay, all of these models are available as plastic kits from Games Workshop. You can use the Empire Knight kit to create Inner Circle Knights. Let's cover your rare options, where you get to choose from the results of the Empire's ingenuity, craftsmanship, and the results of centuries of research and development and progress. Or, you can take a bunch of preppers. Flagellants, not flatulence, are those in the Empire who literally think they're at the end of days and have been driven mad. They've taken up arms and rove the world, spreading their nightmarish vision of the old world. Their fanatical zeal rule means they can only be joined by lectors or priests of Sigmar, who gain the unbreakable rule alongside them. They also have the feel no pain rule, gaining a 6+ ward against non-magical attacks, and a 5+ ward against strength 5 or higher non-magical attacks. If you like your bleak Warhammer vibes, these guys are peak bleak. Onto your war machines. You can take 1 of either the Hellblaster volley gun or Hellstorm rocket batteries per 1,000 points. The Hellblaster volley gun rolls 3 artillery dice when shooting, potentially dealing an incredible 36 strength 5 AP -1 shots at ballistic skill 3. Now, you don't immediately roll on the misfire table if you roll a misfire though. They have some special misfire rules. In the event that you roll 3 misfires, for example, you just fire 30 shots before the Hellblaster just implodes and is destroyed. The Hellstorm rocket battery fires up to 3 strength 3 AP -1 rockets that don't require line of sight, but that can scatter. There's really not much more to say about it than that. But there's a lot to say about the mighty Steam Tank. This iconic toughness 7, 10 wound heavy chariot has a strength 8, AP -2 steam cannon embedded in its front that can deal D3 multiple wounds. Or you can protect against any infantry foolish enough to charge it with its nasty strength 2 steam gun that uses the flame template and doesn't allow you to take an armor save against its hits. Its grinding wheels deal D3 +1 AP -2 stomp attacks unless you're a behemoth against enemies, and it does D6 +1 impact hits too. Finally, it can't march, but it can use its steam power. Instead of doubling its movement speed, it rolls 2d6, discarding the lowest result and adding that number to its movement characteristic in inches. If either of those dice are a 1, however, or if a 1 is rolled in the charge phase, it becomes temperamental. The crew, well, you, have to decide whether to stop moving completely for the turn, or let the pressure build up inside the tank and it take a wound. You could probably do that a few times, right? Now, all of these models are available as plastic kits from Games Workshop. So that's the Empire list. How about we get ourselves a little Empire list with budget in mind? Now, the battalion for the Empire isn't necessarily the best thing to start out with. I mean, it's probably worth picking one up, but the Steam Tank isn't great for smaller games. I don't even think you can run it. I suggest starting with the battalion though, a box of Empire Knights and some great cannons. You'll also probably want to get a captain, and it's probably worth grabbing an engineer too for those great cannons. I reckon build up 20 state missile troops in 2 units of 10 with handguns. Then take 20 veteran state troops as your backbone. You can do those as a regiment and detachments, and they'll be ready to hold the line with hand weapons and shields. And you can take 2 lots of 5 Empire Knights that can charge anything that gets close enough to threaten the line, alongside the 2 great cannons firing devastating shots at range. Your army will basically be able to ping people off from a distance, and if people get close, you've got the decent threat from the Knights. Hold the line and you'll do fine. And with that, that's the Empire of Man, a military powerhouse with plenty of room for customization. Thanks for watching.
A big thank you, as always, to my patrons and YouTube members. You can join them and help support the channel for just £1 a month over on Patreon. If you're in the UK and want to grab any of the units I've mentioned today, please head down to my Wayland Games affiliate link below. You'll get free shipping for any orders over £20. I've got plenty more army guides you can watch too on all the different core factions. One should be suggested to you right about now. Thank you very much.